The sun hung low on the horizon, casting an ominous glow over the churning ocean. The ship's timbers creaked under the strain of the waves, the salty air thick with tension. Christopher Columbus stood at the helm of the Nina, his eyes narrowed against the spray as he gazed ahead. A storm was brewing, not one of nature, but one of his own making. Suddenly, a shout shattered the air. "Captain! The crew is turning!" Panic rippled through the ship like a gust of wind. The murmurs of dissent had transformed into a cacophony of outright rebellion. Men who had once followed Columbus' orders now questioned his every decision, their faith crumbling like the fraying sails above them. It was a mutiny, not just against the ship's captain, but against the very dream he had promised them, a new world of wealth and glory. Silence. His voice, usually commanding, trembled with the weight of despair. "We are on the edge of discovery." But the men were beyond reason, their faces hard with resolve, eyes glinting with doubt. With every passing second, the dream slipped away like sand through his fingers. There, at the precipice of his ambition, Columbus felt the crushing reality of his choices. The promise of gold, the allure of fame, had led them into the dark heart of the unknown. The horizon, once filled with hope, now felt like a guillotine, ready to drop. How did it come to this, he thought, the question echoing against the walls of his mind as the ocean roared back its unanswered call. At the root of the unrest lay a suffocating atmosphere aboard the Nina. Columbus had been feeding his crew stories of unending riches and bountiful lands, but the reality was starkly different. Days turned into weeks, and the vast, unyielding ocean stretched endlessly before them. Supplies dwindled, and hunger gnawed at their bellies. As the crew began to fracture, whispers of dissent turned into shouts. The men were haunted by the specter of failure, their trust in Columbus eroded. "He promised us gold. He promised us a shortcut to India," one sailor yelled, face twisted in anger. In the shadows, other influential figures aboard began to plot, sowing seeds of doubt. The ship's navigator, a man named Martin, watched from the sidelines. His resentment brewing. Columbus had sidelined him, refusing to acknowledge his navigational skills. If there was anyone who could steer them back, it was Martin, but pride had driven a wedge between them. "Do you think he knows where we are?" another crewman spat, his voice dripping with derision. "We should turn back, we're lost." Columbus felt the pressure mounting, he was running out of time. The men could smell mutiny on the wind, and the horizon offered no salvation. Each moment that passed turned the tide against him, and the whispers grew louder. In their eyes, he was not the legendary explorer he claimed to be, but a man leading them to their doom. As Columbus leaned against the ship's railing, his mind raced. He had to act, to salvage his vision before it shattered completely. He recalled the moment he had first conceived the voyage, the maps, the calculations, the promise of a shorter route to the East Indies. It was a gamble that had consumed him, but now, faced with mutiny, he had to make another critical choice. With the crew's resentment boiling over, he decided to bluff. "Tomorrow, we shall land on new soil," he declared, voice firm, despite the tremors that quaked within him. "I know it. I can feel it." He stepped closer to the men, a fire igniting in his eyes. "Riches await us. Trust me, just a little longer." His words hung in the salty air, suspended in the tension of the moment. "A little longer," he repeated, but his heart raced. The gamble was high. If he failed to deliver, his credibility would sink alongside the ship. Tomorrow, echoed in their minds, a fragile promise that could either seal his fate or restore their faith. Would they rally behind him or throw him overboard? Columbus turned away, the weight of their expectations heavy on his shoulders. He had put everything on this bet, hope, ambition, and the last thread of his reputation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Columbus retreated to his cabin, the lantern's flickering light casting shadows on the walls. Strategizing through the night, he scribbled notes, clung to the stars for guidance, and whispered prayers to the heavens. His mind raced with possibilities. If he could just find land, any land, he could turn the tide of discontent. Yet, in his heart, he knew it was all an illusion, a fragile web of desperation spun from ambition. He contemplated the letters from the Spanish crown, how they had invested in his dreams of glory. They were counting on him, just as the men were. Failure meant ruin for them all. He imagined the riches waiting for him, the accolades, the fame. They were so close, yet so far away. Tomorrow, he murmured to himself, rubbing the crumpled letter from Queen Isabella between his fingers. Tomorrow will be different. He would steer them toward the dawn of discovery, or he would face the abyss of ruin. As the stars twinkled overhead, Columbus made a decision that would haunt him for years to come. He would lead the charge forward, no matter the cost. They would either find glory or plunge into darkness, but he would not retreat. It was a dangerous gamble, and he was all in. Dawn broke over the ocean, the sky painted with shades of orange and purple, the colors of both promise and peril. Columbus gathered the men on the deck, their faces drawn and wary. Determination mixed with fear as they awaited his proclamation. "Today, we sail toward destiny," he bellowed, the sound of his voice attempting to mask the quiver of doubt that lay beneath. "I swear we will find land. Prepare yourselves." The crew responded hesitantly, confusion reigning. The Nina cut through the waves, the ever-present threat of mutiny lurking like a shark beneath the surface. Columbus's heart raced. With every swell, the weight of his crew's apprehension pressing down on him. Hours passed, tension thickening the air. As the day wore on, doubt began to seep into Columbus' resolve. What if he was wrong? What if this was all a lie? The horizon was a relentless void, a mirror to his faltering spirit. Then, just as the sun reached its zenith, a cry pierced through the rolling waves. "Land! I see land!" A sailor, squinting into the distance, pointed toward the horizon. Columbus turned, hardly daring to breathe. The sight was a shimmering mirage, a coastline rising up, green and lush against the azure sea. Cheers erupted on the ship, a wave of relief washing over the crew. Columbus felt the rush of adrenaline surge through him. Sail on. To glory, he cried, the illusion of control flooding back into his veins. But as they drew nearer, doubt transformed into dread. What would they find? Was it paradise or a trap? As the ship anchored, Columbus stepped ashore, the soft sand crumbling beneath his boots. It was a new world, vibrant and alive, but the victory felt hollow. The moment should have been triumph, yet he could feel the chill of uncertainty gnawing at his confidence. The crew followed, their excitement palpable, but a tension simmered just below the surface. They were explorers, yes, but they were also men who had bled for this dream, men who had been led into an unknown that demanded more than just ambition. It was then that Martin, the navigator, approached Columbus. His expression dark. "What now?" he asked, the challenge in his eyes unmistakable. "You claim this land, but at what cost?" "Cost?" Columbus echoed, the weight of his own decisions crashing down on him. "This is our fortune." But as he looked around, he saw the unease among the crew. The land was uncharted, unfamiliar, and fear gripped them tightly once again. The hours turned into days, and as they explored the coast, the reality of their situation began to sink in. Supplies were running low, tensions rose, and that fragile sense of camaraderie shattered with every passing storm. The men who once rallied behind Columbus now turned on him, blaming him for their plight. Anger bubbled over when they encountered the indigenous people, their initial curiosity fading into misunderstanding and conflict. "They will not give us what we seek," a crewman shouted, desperation in his voice. "They are savages." And with that, the dream began to fray. Columbus had seen visions of glory, yet reality painted a darker picture, one of conflict, betrayal, and the unraveling of the very trust he had fought to build. The illusions he had relied upon crumbled, and what was once a pursuit of discovery turned into a fight for survival. In the days that followed, Columbus grappled with the ramifications of his decisions. The echoes of mutiny had become reality, the price of ambition had laid waste to unity. Betrayal had not only come from his crew but from the very dreams that drove him forward. He learned that ambition without caution could unravel even the strongest resolve, that the weight of leadership bore heavy on those who dared to dream. The human spirit craved exploration yet also feared the unknown, an eternal dance between the desire for discovery and the price of that journey. As Columbus stood alone on the shore, watching the waves lap at the land, he realized that exploration was not merely about conquering new lands, but understanding the complexity of human nature. The allure of glory had blinded him, yet it was the cost of his choices that now shaped the legacy he would leave behind. In this moment, Columbus knew he would either find redemption or be consumed by the very ambition that had driven him forth. Could he learn from his mistakes? Could he turn his path from one of destruction to one of understanding and connection? The tides of fate were turning, and it was up to him to navigate the storm that loomed on the horizon. The journey had just begun, but beyond the chaos and conflict lay the potential for something greater, a reckoning that would resonate through the ages. What would he discover not only in the new world but within himself? As the sun dipped below the waves, casting shadows over the turbulent waters, Columbus faced the dawn of a new